The Thursday, July 14th, Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Before we get started, I'd like everyone to quiet their phones. So could we have roll call? Unless you need to tell people how to get online again.
We can start with roll and then go into how to join.
All right.
Okay. Chair O'Neill here. Vice Chair Smith Crivello. Commissioner Collum
Here.
Commissioner Dawson
Here.
Commissioner Hambero. Commissioner Hambero.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Rath here. And Commissioner Rodriguez let us know that he will be absent. Staff members present are Principal Planner Riveri and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera. I'll go ahead and let the public know how they can join the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/Monterey. It's also streamed on Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-739-7120. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off your TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting, and please stay within that limit.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
And staff members today are Erica Barrera and Fernanda Riveri, who is the planner. Consent items, we have none, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the May 12th, 2022 meeting. Were there any additions or corrections?
Do we see anyone on Zoom who would like to comment on the minutes?
There are currently no attendees on Zoom.
Okay, and Carol Dawson is shaking her head.
Carol and Lori are on Zoom. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, anyone else have any comments?
Lori's
additions?
hands raised.
Yes.
Oh, Kathy.
The sound is really.
Sorry, Kathy, can we let Lori speak?
Yeah,
She's,
go ahead. I didn't know she was.
it's difficult for her to get on. Yes, Lori.
The sound is poor quality.
It is, and I don't know if it's your connection or our connection. You're very lagged. It's I guess that's the only term I can use. It's very hesitating for your comments. So,
Just before.
Carol Dawson seems to be coming in, okay. So I'm going to assume it's your connection. I don't know. Can you do this on the phone? I'm not an IT person.
Well, I can. It's just kind of stupid.
Okay, let's move on. And Kathy had a comment on the minutes.
Yes, okay, then on page 7, we were discussing the fire pit at the Cooper Malera building, and the paragraph kind of lower middle, it says Commissioner Dawson made a motion seconded by myself to approve HP 220059 with the condition that Carmel Stone is added. And then it said with Smith, Crivello, and Collum voting yes, and O'Neill, Dawson, Humbar, and Rath voting no. I'm just a little confused because I thought Carol Dawson was going to approve that, but she
We-
voted
I-
no.
As I
Should we-
recall it during the discussion, we decided we had a motion that we would make Carmel Stone a condition.
Mhm.
And then as we discussed it, we thought
Right.
maybe that's not a good idea. But we had to follow through with voting on it. And then we voted for the uh, to accept it without the condition of the Carmel Stone.
So really, that motion then is kind of void because the next paragraph that says there's another motion, that's
Yeah.
what you were just, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was just a little confused. and
It's, I'm not surprised you're confused. Um,
it does
Who
happen.
isn't? Okay, so that, we've straightened that out, and Geraldine, you've got a
Yes.
comment?
On page 5, it identifies me as absent. But as you can see, early in the meeting, I announced present.
Yes,
And then continue to participate throughout the meeting. So I
Very
think it
good.
should say present because it was only a couple lines that I missed being present for.
The approval of the minutes that you were marked.
I don't know. It was just the very beginning.
I did not vote on the minutes.
Okay.
I believe I didn't. But that would just be one of
But that's,
Right.
that
Many-
was the,
many things.
So on the minutes vote, there's 2 absences. One is Smith Crivello and one is Rodriguez. That's on packet page 5. So yes, we did mark you as absent for the minutes.
So I am marked as,
so you're present for
present
the
at the
meeting,
top.
but you were
Oh, I
absent for
see.
the.
it was just for that
particular
vote.
vote.
I understand now. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. So can we have a motion if there are no other comments to
I'll-
accept the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes as written. I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Can we take a vote?
Chair O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith Crivello,
Aye.
Commissioner Collum,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbero. I believe that was an aye.
Yeah, sure, lips moved
Yep.
and.
Commissioner Rath. Aye. And Commissioner Rodriguez is absent, so the minutes are approved with a vote of 6.
Thank you. Now we move on to the portion of the meeting where the public can comment on any item that is not on the agenda. So is anyone here to comment on any item that's not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'm closing the public comments and bringing it back to the commission. Agenda item 3, we are considering 136 Herman Drive, an application for a Mills Act contract and H2 historic zoning. Fernanda?
Thank you, Chair O'Neill. My name is Fernanda Roveri, Principal Planner for the City of Monterey. And I will present to you 136 Herman Drive, an application for a Mills Act contract and H2 local city historic zoning. The recommendation is that the Historic Preservation Commission adopt 2 resolutions. One is to recommend that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council that it adopt an ordinance to rezone the property as a city historic resource. And 2, recommend that the City Council approve a Mills Act contract for the property. The subject property is 136 Herman Drive. It is located in the Monterey Vista neighborhood, right behind the high school. As you can see on this photo, the high school is on the right side of Herman Drive. Architectural historian Ken Seavey prepared an intensive survey to evaluate the property's significance as a local historic resource. And he found that the residence qualifies as a local historic resource under California Register Criteria 1 and 3. Criterion 1 is talks about resources that are associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of local history. And the residence was found to be associated with the development of the Monterey subdivision, tract number 1, which was the most extensive residential housing development in Monterey between 1926 and 1950. The residence was also found to be significant under Criterion 3 because the residence embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, region, or method of construction. And the residence was constructed in 1930 and 1931. And historian Ken Seavey found that it was a very good and essentially intact example of the earliest housing development in this subdivision. And he found that the property retains all 7 aspects of integrity. This is what the property looks like today. And the historian identified some character defining features, including that the residence is 1-story wood framed vernacular cottage, irregular in plan, resting on a concrete foundation. It's the walls are covered in rough cut Carmel stone. It's low pitched, cross gabled roof. It has a partial width raised cover porch with closed Carmel stone rail. And it has multi-pane steel casement and fixed windows, including an arched focal window in the east-facing gabled bay, as you can see on this photo. And so the residence is in very good condition, as you can see. The property meets the eligibility requirements for the local historic resource zoning and the Mills Act program because it was identified by architectural historian Kent Seavey to be a significant local historic resource under criteria 1 and 3. And granting the contract, the Mills Act contract, will serve to offset the cost of maintenance of the resource. The maintenance schedule that was submitted included several items for maintenance of the residence over the contract life. So 21 years plus of maintenance repairs. Staff's recommendation is that the HPC adopt those 2 resolutions, 1 recommending the rezone of the property, and 2 the Mills Act contract approval at the city council stage. I'm available for questions, and I believe that the applicant is here. Lorraine Kimsey is here. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernanda. Commissioners, are there any questions of staff? Gerald?
I appreciate the fact you provided this additional reference for us that we didn't have in our packet. And looking at, and so I've just been, looking it over because we just received it. There's, I guess these are what would be called covenants or R/WG&R. Would they be?
I have not had a chance to look at this. It was provided by the applicant today.
Oh, okay. So maybe, but perhaps you can answer this question just because of your background. If you look at the third
Let me
point.
grab it.
Okay. It's just a curious thing. It has no direct bearing on the vote. You know, it's just good for me to understand. So can you find the third point on your paperwork? These pages have no page number. So I'm not able to give you a page number, but it's it looks like it's under the records describing this part of the city as it's being set out for development.
Oh,
So you have to kind of go through, and maybe 4 pages into that, you'll see first, second, third.
Could these be the CCNRs?
That's
that
what I
we,
suspected. That's
yeah.
why I asked it.
oh,
It
okay.
says R/WG and R, but it could be like CCNRs.
Yeah.
That would be,
Hmm.
it doesn't spell out the title of this
Yeah.
section, but I'm guessing this is just historically interesting to me. Have you found it, Fernanda?
I have not,
Okay.
maybe,
It starts with this.
oh, I see it now.
indenture.
I found it.
Did you find it? Okay. It says that no outbuilding or garage shall be erected, built or placed on said property except during or after the time of construction. Can you tell me why that would be a covenant at all? Does it make any sense? Because, you know, during or after, why wouldn't you just let that go? Why is that a specific, what were they trying to avoid in terms of that? They took the time to write it, and I don't understand it.
maybe accessory dwelling units for relatives.
Hmm.
I am not sure. I would have to read the
These-
entire
These
thing.
old CCNRs restrict a lot of things, and I think Kent put that out in his report.
Yes, I did see some of
Yeah.
it that was kind of silly.
Yeah.
So I just found that to be such a curious thing to put on there,
Mhm.
and it's not particularly pertinent to this situation. But I thought, well, maybe, you know, just historically, I thought it was interesting. But thank you for humoring me and reading it. If you ever figure it out, let me.
It is
know.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now I want to go read
Thank you.
read that more in depth. Are there any other questions of staff? I do have a question, and maybe Fernanda, you can answer it, maybe the applicant. Are the windows, they're metal? Are they original?
Oh, I think the applicant has,
Okay, when you come up, I'll ask that again. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Any other questions of staff? All right, would the applicant like to speak? If you come to the podium and give your name, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
All right, my name is Lorene Kimsey. And good afternoon to everyone. I am the new owner of 136 Herman Drive.
Be a little closer to you.
I purchased the house in December of 2021 from a family who had owned it since 1938 and fortunately had not altered the exterior during that time. It was built of Carmel stone in 1931 after the Jacks family subdivided their property to create the Monterey neighborhood. A copy of the original 1930 title is included in your packet, along with my proposed 25-year maintenance schedule. The packet also contains a photo of a Mills Act property, the John M. Thompson House at Monroe and Jefferson Streets, which bears many similarities to my home. As an indication of my commitment to historic preservation, I've included a picture of the Mills Act home in which my late husband and I resided for 13 years, the Norman Davis House. During that time, we not only passed each inspection by the various Monterey City Commissions, but exceeded the maintenance schedule. Therefore, I ask you to once again provide me the opportunity to support the goals of the Mills Act by approving my application for 136 Herman Drive. And I thank you for the guidance and the support staff has given me during this process. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I will repeat the question. The windows are metal according to the.
They are the original
They are the
casement
original.
windows, and I have had them reglazed and painted and the mechanisms repaired as much as possible. It's very hard to get
Mhm.
those things at this point in time, but my intention is to keep them forever. And Carol Dawson, I believe, brought to my attention that I had said I was going to replace them or something. I'm definitely not replacing them. They
Mhm.
will stay in the house.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Any other
Um,
questions?
Anyone? Okay. Lori, you've got your hand up?
Yes. I got my audio fixed too.
Oh, good. yeah.
I'm curious as to what the stone cladding is on. Like, what's the interior framing or,
Well, it's a wood framed house.
okay,
There's Carmel stone in the outside,
right?
and it's rather a rough adobe type interior.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Maybe Carol can help me with that. She walked through the house. That's what I would describe it as.
And as far as your steel,
Plaster.
your steel casement windows,
Mhm.
you've got those all painted and reglazed?
All painted and
That's
reglazed.
great, because I have a house that's also Carmel stone with those steel casement windows.
Mhm.
I get a lot of ocean salt air, and
Mhm.
those windows just really need a lot of maintenance.
They needed a lot of maintenance. They had not been, I think, cared for in some time. I believe the lady that owned the house was 102 at the point that she passed away and I purchased the house. So it needed a lot of maintenance when I moved in. But I look
Yeah.
forward to doing all that.
Labor of love.
A labor of love, absolutely.
Thank you, Lori. Carol Dawson, you've got your hand up?
Yes, I was fortunate enough to drive by when Mrs. Kimsey was out and she showed me the interior of the house and it is plaster on the inside. It's beautiful. It's been very well maintained and I know Ms. Kimsey has done a lot of work on it. As for the maintenance schedule, it does say that the windows are and the doors are to be replaced. And what she meant to say was just refurbished. So
Yes.
one condition of approval would be that they just change the maintenance schedule to reflect that.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, Carol. And that was kind of where I was going with, what the windows were. Does anyone on the, Geraldine?
Well, thank you for, you've had some experience with this before with your
Okay.
previous home.
I-
And I think it's just great that you're taking on another special historic building and you know what you're doing and
Look
I
forward
think
to it. Thank you.
that we're lucky to have you working on this project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Geraldine. I have a question. You have exterior paint, and I'm assuming that's repair and maintenance, not
Yes.
typo. It looks like it's covered with stone. What are you painting?
The trim, there's wood trim from the roof, or the roof line
Okay,
and around the windows and the doors. Around the garage
Yeah.
has wood also.
yeah, just seems like a lot of money for trim, but I live in a stucco house, so, not quite so
Well,
precious.
the windows are part of the problem, you know, the small pane
Yeah.
casement window.
Oh, it's
take-
the little,
Yeah, the
okay,
small pane,
yeah,
so that
okay,
took a lot
I
of effort.
understand. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, thank
One
you.
more.
Oh,
I have
Oh,
one
wait,
more.
Gerald.
You know did you happen in your research to discover any information about this plan or the original owners or what they, or did they just hire an architect and a builder? They like the idea of the stone, or do you know any more about the
There was
original?
a builder, we have not identified that person. I've questioned even the neighbors who've lived there sometime. Next door neighbor, Daryl, is an architect. And he had researched that, could not find the name of that person, but this builder built 3 houses in a row, but they all have different facades. The interiors are the same, but they've all been added onto or changed over time. Unfortunately, mine has not been changed, but we do not have the specific names.
Thanks. Just wondered, I couldn't find it,
Yeah.
but I thought
Yeah.
you might.
Thank you. And she'd probably want to know if you ever do.
Yes,
I
please please share that with me.
No more questions.
Carol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Catherine.
I was just gonna say, I just found out besides the couple or family that lived there before you, Rini, Mr. William Irving, a warehouse foreman for the Carmel Canning Company, apparently was the first owner, it looks like.
That's the first one we could identify. From the California room, they have old phone books and such, and we went through those, and that's the first person that we could find. And
Okay.
think that's the-
Lori, it looks like you've still got your hand up. Is that?
Yeah, I had another question.
Sure.
I wanted to inquire about the condition of the, I guess you call it mortar in between the stones.
Mhm.
Have you had that evaluated as
had
far
that
as?
evaluated, and it was in rather good condition. I did have the chimney pointed up. There were some problems at the very top. It had some water damage over time. So I did have that repaired.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this agenda item? Is there anyone online?
The public how to
Okay.
join. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-739-7120. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function on the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name they've typed into Zoom. There's currently no one attending online. I
Okay,
see you'd
thank
like to
you.
speak.
If you could give your name, please. Thank you.
And being as a personal friend, and of course I got to see what she and husband did with their previous home.
He can't
and
hear.
It was gorgeous.
Oh,
Excuse me, I can't hear anything that she's saying.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
now?
sorry.
That's better, thank you.
once again, my name is Sid Crampton, and I'm a resident of the Monterey subdivision. And our home is also a Mills Act home and from 1929. And I got to see Rini and Chuck's home several times that they had refurbished. That was a Mills Act as well, and did a beautiful job. And already Rini has just brought this property back. The interior is just gorgeous. And I know that she's going to do a phenomenal job throughout her ownership of the home. And I'm excited to see what she does. And it really has brought up that particular home. It was really run down when she took over, and it's now just, I think it's a jewel. I would like to have this approved. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's just 7 months too.
Yeah. Anyone else like to speak on this item? Erica, are we still
There's still no attendees.
no attendees? All right, I'm closing the public comment and bringing it back to the commission. Do we have any discussion or a motion?
I'm
Carol?
ready for a motion.
Okay,
Unless people have discussion.
and we can discuss it after
That's
the motion if we like.
Well, I noticed that we actually will need two motions. So I'll take the first one. I move that we I'm recommending the planning commission adopts an ordinance. Oh, we're recommending that the city council adopts an ordinance to rezone the property as a historic resource from R110 to R110 H2.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Kathy. Seconded. Any further discussion? All right, calling for a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Chair O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith Carvello,
Aye.
Commissioner Collum,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbero,
Aye.
Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
And this motion carries with a vote of 6. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days.
There's no appeal because it's a recommendation.
Okay,
The HPC does not have, their vote is not the final decision, so it cannot be appealed.
thank you for clarifying.
Okay, that passed, and now we need a motion on part 2 of the recommendation. Anyone?
I'll make the motion. I recommend that, I move to recommend that the city council approve the Mills Act contract for the property with the requirement that the windows are not changed. They're just maintained. Is that what we want?
Yeah, I think that works because in their contract, it says replace, so.
Right.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Geraldine seconds. Any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote on the motion.
Chair O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith Carvello,
Aye.
Commissioner Collum,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbero,
Aye.
and Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries with a vote of 6.
Thank you. And congratulations. I wish when I drove by, you had been outside.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing.
It's a very nice little house. All right. Moving on to a more contentious agenda item is confirming the annual appointments for chair and vice chair. And there's a lot of confusion about how this is all going down, I guess.
Okay, I can try to answer any questions, but I just wanted to say, so I attached the chair and vice chair rotation policy, and according to that policy, if last time Commissioner Collum was eligible to be chair, but she declined. And so according to the policy, we need to offer that position to her again. And she can accept or decline again. And then the vice chair position would go to the member with the next seniority. So the longest serving member, but we have a tie for 3. So that would be Commissioners Humbaro, Rath, and Rodriguez all have the same seniority.
Yeah.
So
So where does that leave Commissioner Smith Carvello?
I have a question. If you look at the last page, right behind page 29, so I guess it's page 30. Number 1 says the position of chair should rotate annually to the member who has the longest current period of continuous service on the board or commission without having served as chair. So I was thinking that we had established when Kathy was going to move up 6 months ago, she chose not to. I moved up to vice chair, and I am the person with the longest period of service, having not been in the position of chair. It's not
oh,
the position of service as a new board member, but I haven't been chair since 2018. That's a long period of service without having been chair. So I was expecting that I would become chair based on that, and I arranged vacation time so I'd be present at meetings because of that.
oh, okay. So the way that I read the policy is that the position of chair rotates to the member who has served the longest without having served as chair ever. That's how I interpreted that, because like you noted, you did serve as chair in 2018, but Commissioner Collum has never served.
I understand it, but it doesn't say ever. It says just longest current period of continuous service without having, I've served 4 years and they haven't served that long. Having been appointed in 2021.
So Commissioners Rath, Hambaro and Rodriguez, you're right, they've served
Brand new.
a lot less.
Yeah.
However, they are eligible to serve. They become eligible if they've served for at least 6 months. So this is, I think I recommend that you all have a discussion
Yeah,
then
I'd like
on.
to say something.
Oh, Kathy?
And well, I understand if 6 months is the longest period that somebody's been on without having, but it isn't. I mean, I understand they would be eligible after 6 months. But it just seems like it is not clear then, because it doesn't say ever in that
Okay.
statement. It just says longest current period of continuous service without having served as chair. So when I was appointed vice chair, then I was thinking that that was a true statement. So that's,
So you've served 4 years and Linda has served a year and a half. So you would have the longest continuous.
that's what I
service.
interpreted
Yeah.
it as. That was
And
my
Kathy?
confusion.
Well, what I was going to say, since I kind of started all this,
Yes,
okay, when we were doing just Zoom, I don't have a computer, and Geraldine was kind enough to let me share with her the Zoom meetings. And it looks like we're still kind of doing some Zoom here. We are in person or Zoom, but that was my reason at the time, was until we're all in person, I wanted to bow out, but it wasn't like I'll never do it.
Uh-huh.
And since Geraldine has stepped in as vice chair with Carol and is prepared and made arrangements and so forth, I'm thinking Geraldine should be the next chair and maybe I could be the vice chair.
Okay, you would be eligible.
Mhm. That's what I'm thinking, because hopefully by then, maybe there won't be any Zoom.
or COVID.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but at least having this option in person or Zoom, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Well, this is open for interpretation, so I recommend that then you all have a discussion and appoint whoever you decide should be chair and vice chair.
Okay, I'm comfortable if Kathy, you are proposing that you are serve as vice chair
Right.
and Geraldine step up as
Yeah, I feel
chair
I
is,
should fulfill, it is a responsibility
Yeah.
of the commission, and I haven't done
but
it.
she,
And I
when she
felt,
does go on vacation.
well,
so-
and I talked to Kim about it last year. I was very concerned about doing this, but she understood and she said, it's been done before, so, don't
Yeah.
feel guilty, but I
Yeah,
kind of did.
it has been.
And,
I would
we-
like to be sure that you don't want to be chair, because if we just went with the people, Kathy has served almost as long as I have, and she has.
4 years.
Yes, and you haven't been chair, would you? If you want to be chair,
No,
I'm happy to be vice chair.
I'm still new with a job. And instead of just being a board member of a nonprofit, I'm the operations manager. So just for a few months. So I really, we have things coming up and I really need to be available more. So it would not, and would this start, by the way? When does this start? The
The next,
yeah,
meeting.
see,
Mhm.
yeah,
Meeting.
I just am not prepared for that.
Does anyone,
you-
Lori or Carol Dawson, do you have any feelings on this?
I'm very okay with Geraldine and Carol. And I don't personally want to take on any responsibility.
How much fun with the Zoom on half the people and yeah, the other half. Carol Dawson?
Yeah, I'm fine with Geraldine being chair and Kathy being vice chair. I think that would be great.
Okay.
Because they both agree to it.
Okay, I think we're in agreement. We don't need to take a formal vote on this.
You need to confirm the
We need-
appointment.
Okay,
So
so, let's vote to confirm that, Geraldine Smith Crivello will be chairman following this meeting, and Kathy Callum will be the vice chairman.
okay, so that was the motion.
That's
Okay.
I guess, a motion. Do we need a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds, so let's take another vote.
Okay. Chair O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith Carvello,
Aye.
Commissioner Collins,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbero,
Aye.
and Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
Okay, that motion
All
carries
right.
with a vote of 6.
All right, I'm glad we got that hashed out. Now I have lost. We're probably down to the planning. Thank you. No, that's, I need the agenda.
We have.
There we go. All
commissioner
right,
comments.
commissioner comments and
I
then
have a
staff.
comment.
Yes, Geraldine.
I'm wondering if staff received my, my certificate for, I'm trying to think of, the
Ethics
last thing that
Training
was
or harassment?
harassment, because it was due on the 30th and I completed it on the 30th.
I can check. It went straight to human resources, but I
I
can
believe
check.
so, but I have had
Yeah,
no
when you
confirmation
hit
from
submit,
human.
it just goes into the netherworld and you
Yeah.
can't even print it out.
So I want to be sure that,
Yeah.
that
unless you
process was
print it first.
completed, and
Okay,
can you do that and
I
let
could,
me
yes,
know?
I can check for everyone and email you individually.
Thank you very much.
Kathy?
Oh, yes, I want to direct this to you, Fernanda, because I mentioned something to Erica before the meeting started. And I guess it is HR that's behind the harassment thing, the ethics and all that. Okay. I guess I'm having a little problem with the harassment thing for us. We're not in an office or, education, teachers and that kind of thing. I'm just wondering, we have to do this once a year because we did it April last year,
My understanding is that it's every year.
every year. Even if you're not in it, you know what I'm saying, more of an office environment like you folks probably are. I just was kind of confused on that. I guess because I have that due right now, and then I was sick, unfortunately, for the 2 weeks. And that was another thing. We only had 2 weeks to do that. I have it written down, June 14th to June 30th. Why was it just 2 weeks that they gave
Because,
us?
it was, so it fell through the cracks at HR.
Oh, so it probably was supposed to be in April again,
Yes,
like it
it-
was last year.
We just had a significant turnover of staff and I think it just fell through the
Hmm,
cracks.
Is this a
okay.
state requirement?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's just something we have to do.
Even commissioners and so forth.
Yes,
Okay.
it's every public facing staff member or office or someone in a board or committee.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments? I'm going to, I'll say announce or, the Point Sur is having an open house on July 31st. So
Oh,
for just a few extra dollars, you get to ride up in a van and we'll
ooh,
have
oh, it's
people
wonderful.
in costume and we have not done it for 4 years because of
That's
COVID
great.
and having some bridges replaced at the light station. So
Did you say the
It's
31st?
the
Yes,
31st.
it's a Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday from 12 to 2, last car out at 3. So if the weather is good, it's wonderful. We'll have things for kids and whatnot. If it's cold and foggy, you may want to stay home and watch Netflix.
How
Just
do we
saying,
Make a
It's
reservation.
you don't make a reservation, you show up.
Oh, okay, that's good
And,
to know. So
yeah.
you should be there by
Yeah,
what time?
Well, we're gonna let cars in starting at noon. And then, on a rolling
that van
basis.
takes-
Yeah, and then the van will just continually, we'll have 2 vans to take you up to the top.
That's cool.
So,
Well, it's
We'll
different
see.
than a regular tour.
yes, a normal
It's an
tour,
open
you
house.
walk up. So this is an opportunity to not walk up.
That's great.
Let me recommend not walking up. And I would like to ask, the city to share more information on what's going on history-wise. And I can't think of, what it is right now. My husband's on cultural arts and things are happening and they're not aware of it. And I'm like, well, we didn't know that either, but it seems that the information on what's happening history-wise in the city, one of the things they're looking at, that I would like to support is to bring back the, Constitutional Convention reenactment
Oh,
at
that was cool.
it was wonderful. So I know they're looking at that and certainly like to support that. And other things that are happening in the city. We just seem to not ever know about it. We've been depending on Kathy to bring us, the news. Yes, Gerald.
And along that same theme, I want to congratulate the DAR, placed a plaque honoring General Vallejo at San Carlos Cathedral. It's he's as a patriot in the Revolutionary War, which is interesting that he made a contribution all the way from California. And we also had the sloat landing back, which was really great. And the Native Sons of the Golden West are the ones that spearhead that. But it was just great to have a historical event occur. That's when, for those who don't know, that's when the Mexican flag was brought down and the American flag went up the flagpole, and California became part of the United States, not as a state yet, but became part of the United States. So that was just nice to have back. The band played and people along, it's right in front of Custom House. So people along the path, participated by enjoying it. And the Portuguese had their festa this last weekend, which was just great also. So it's time for the city to have a celebration that we're 252 years now, because we had a lot
Yeah,
of things
250th
that
anniversary.
were
went well.
planned for the 250th. And I'd like to know, maybe you could find out when we will hear about those things. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a giant abalone shell installed,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was going to be a kind of a dramatic presentation for everybody. We don't know if the streets were going to be painted gold again, but there was going to be a nice celebration, and would like to know more about it.
And that, I think it was the sloat landing that, brought up the conversation between my husband and myself, is that, whoever was telling us about it said it was very lightly attended. It was mostly people who walked by because it was not, advertised much, and it wasn't hosted by the city. It was
No,
probably
it
the
was
sons
it
of
was
the,
the sons of the.
yeah, so
Native
it's
Sons.
just, when the city finds out about these things, it would be nice if we got more information.
Yes, okay, I hear you.
Okay.
I will definitely get in touch with our communications manager because
That would be-
she's probably aware of all of these events.
Yeah, and people ask us and we're like, oh, I don't know. So personally, I'd like to see something on Captain Jones, who came ashore with the American flag just 2 years before. We
might have to start it.
yeah, I love that story. And then they had to take down the American flag. So, oh, well. All right. Any other commissioner comments? Staff, do we have?
Just that we are planning on bringing that mid-year review of all of our Millsack properties to our next August HPC meeting.
Okay,
Wonderful.
So we've
great.
hit about 30 property inspections.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
we're so happy you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd like to also recognize Chair O'Neill for her service as chair.
would too.
Yes.
Thank you.
almost a year and a half.
You did such a good job.
Thank you. This, the screen and the people, it's like, and then when the door is open, it's lovely out there, but you can't see the people. And I'd rather have the door open for sure, but it's like, okay, there's a silhouette. But thank you. Is there anything else? Unless you got more kudos for me, I'm. Okay, all right, we are adjourned.